So we just did a month with my old officer from the Special Forces. We did the Officer General program. So for context, he is one of the 5 officers that are ex-Special Forces officers that are also McKinsey grads in Israel. And they run a program called Officer to General, which takes people from the military, the police, and the intelligence communities that are just below the general level, like high-ranking officers. And it helps them become better strategic thinkers as they're about to graduate into the general ranks. And what he said is that there's this kind of cycle where you go first, like when the strategy is working or not working, you have to first stop and go through this kind of cycle. And it's a 4-part cycle. First off, there's the embarrassment stage. You say, reality has embarrassed me a little bit. My game plan has been exposed. It's not working correctly. And I need to own that. And we're going to talk about this in a little bit. Then you go into the systematic inquiry, saying like, what is actually going on here? What is the actual truth of the lay of the land of reality that I operate within? And then now that I better understand the actual truth of what's going on, how can I create a new strategy? That's number 3. And then number 4, implement it. And it's kind of this consistent cycle. You have a new strategy, you implement it. Again, there's flaws. If it's a little bit embarrassing, whatever it may be. For me, the embarrassment thing, because it was such a weird word, and it's something that we often use in the agency or in the special forces, you use these words that are not part of your everyday vernacular in order to shift you out of your everyday thinking. And embarrassment was that for me. I was like, man, this is embarrassing. Like, I thought the podcast would be much further along, especially because I think we have good quality here. People say they really enjoy it, but the numbers don't match the expectations. And I don't think this is just a volume play where if we just work harder and do more of the same, it's actually going to change the outcome. But something here is not working. And he gave that example. He said that how you coin embarrassment, I understand that it's actually something that needs to be changed, is if, for example, you launch a product with the goal of making $1,000 in the first month, and by week number 3, you're only at 150, and there's no, like exponential growth curve, it's foolish to say, I'll just work harder and it will work. It's like you need to acknowledge that the strategy isn't working and that you feel a bit embarrassed so that you can move on. And you have to own that. Not try to say, okay, I'm not embarrassed. I'm going to protect my ego by just pushing harder, because that's easier than to own the emotional, like me saying I messed up. It feels a bit embarrassing. Especially, I think a lot of us A-types, it's easier for us to work really hard and like grind our faces into the wall instead of just owning that we feel a bit embarrassed. And for whatever reason, when he said that, I was like, man, something with the podcast, like it's embarrassing. We should be doing better. And that was the first thing that really snapped me into saying, okay, I need to reassess what's going on.